Hi class, today we're going to be going through some exceptions or complications of just our simple monohybrid crosses, and then we're going to practice a couple crosses, including a dihybrid cross, to go over some of the situations that don't follow all the same rules that we've talked about so far. So first, in your notes packet, there's a section there. It looks like a big stop sign. That's where our complications will go. So the first one is incomplete dominance and codominance. Incomplete dominance occurs when the heterozygous individual has a trait that's between both of the parents. So in this case, neither allele is completely dominant, and hybrids will show this intermediate trait. So an example maybe would be big R being red flower, big R, little r would be a pink flower, and little would be a white flower. So the one that is odd or incomplete dominant is the big little. We'll show something that's in between the two phenotypes. Here's our example. 4 o'clock flowers. If you crossed a red 4 o'clock flower with a white 4 o'clock flower, what would you end up with? And notice here, this one is little, this one's big. When we cross those, we get big, little all the way across. And so we have here all pink flowers in the F1 generation. If we take those F1 generation pink flowers and cross them, you'll see that you get some white, 50% will be pink, and then one red. If you were to take that pink and cross it with a white, you would only get pink and white because you wouldn't have a place for two big R's to go. Okay, codominance is when both alleles are expressed in the heterozygous offspring. So this is a little bit different. We don't get an intermediate color, like they didn't blend and give us a blended color. In this one, we actually see both traits. So we get the dominant trait and the recessive trait showing up in the phenotype. So an example here, what would happen if you crossed a horse with a white coat and a horse with a red coat? And what you get is what's called roan coat. And the horse actually has both red and white hairs. So in incomplete dominance, we would say that it would be a pink color because they would blend the red and white. But in this case, it actually gets red and white. It shows both traits equally. And so again, this would be if we had red hairs. If we had white hairs, it would be completely recessive. But if we have the intermediate, the heterozygous, we're going to get red and white hairs equally. In humans, we're going to talk about codominance with blood types, and we'll get to that a little bit later. Okay, so we're going to practice a few. The first one here, incomplete dominance. In rabbits, the allele for black coat color, actually, sorry, this is not our incomplete dominant example. This is going to go down to the bottom of your notes packet, and we have a rabbit question. It'll say rabbit question. We'll fill that in there. If you are on your notes packet, you can fill in the incomplete dominance example back from the previous slide, and the codominance example back from the previous slide as well. So our rabbit question. In rabbits, the allele for black coat color is a big B, and it's dominant over the allele for brown coat color, little b. Predict the results of a cross between a rabbit that's homozygous for black coat color, so homozygous for black, and a rabbit that's homozygous for brown. Okay, that's going to be our cross. So oftentimes we'll go ahead and write out our cross. Big B, crossed with little b, little b. So we want to know what the genotypic and phenotypic ratios are. Get the spot to be able to write this. Okay, so if we take that cross, big B, crossed with little b, put that into a Punnett square. We're going to have big up across the top, little down the side. And in our Punnett square, we're going to see that all of the choices are heterozygous. So our genotypic ratio, this is going to be something you're going to need to practice doing, making these ratios, is going to be the number we have that are completely dominant, the number we have that are heterozygous, and the number we have that are recessive. So we have 0, big B, we have 4, big little, and we have 0, little little. And then phenotypic ratio is what they look like. So in this case, we're going to look at how many are black coat color and how many are brown coat color. And in this case, we have 4 showing the black coat color and 0 the brown. Okay, our next one, brown hair color is dominant over blonde hair, and brown eyes are dominant over blue eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and give us our letters that we're going to use, or the ones I'm going to use. So big B is going to be brown hair, and little b is going to be blonde hair, and then big R is going to be brown eyes, and little r is going to be blue eyes. Okay, so in this question, it'll ask us if 2 heterozygous parents for both traits mate, what is the phenotypic ratio of their offspring? This is a dihybrid cross. We want to see what are the chances of the offspring getting both traits together. And when we do a dihybrid cross, we're only going to do a phenotypic ratio. We're not going to do the genotype and phenotype ratio, just the phenotype. So in this one, it tells us that 2 heterozygous parents for both traits. So we're going to have big B, big R, little r, crossed with big B, big R, little r. Now, in a dihybrid cross, you need 16 squares. Now, on your notes packet, I have that typed up wrong. You actually have an extra row across the bottom and an extra row down the side. So you can cross those out. If you're not sure what I mean by that, you'll see if you count the number of squares, you'll have too many, and you just need 16. Okay, so now when we make this cross, what we're going to do is the FOIL method of deciding what goes across the top here and above each of these squares and what goes down the side next to each square. So we're going to take parent 1, big B, big R, little r. And what we'll do with the FOIL method, the F means first, so we're going to take the first letters here, big B, big R, and put it across the top. We're then going to take the outer, that's what the O stands for, so big B, little r. We will then take the inner, little b, big R, and then we're going to take the L, which stands for last, which is little b, little r. And that's how we decide what goes across the top. Now, in dihybrid cross, you do have to have 2 traits that are being passed on from the parent. So that's why we have the 2 traits being passed on together. Now, parent 2 in this situation has the exact same genotype, so the letters are going to be the same. We do the FOIL method, and we'll see that the letters or letter choices would come out the same for the down the side. And now at this point, we're going to pull all of these letters in. And again, it's doing just what you did before. A couple side notes, you make sure that you put the B's back together and the R's back together. Okay, please try these yourself and then we'll check your work. Okay, so you can see the filled in completed dihybrid cross here. Check your work and make sure you've done the same thing. Now the next thing that we're going to do here is the phenotype ratio. So the phenotype ratio is just what they look like. We're not worried about all these genotypes right now. We're going to look at what they actually look like and what do you see from them. So first we're going to look for anything that has brown hair and brown eyes together. In order to have brown hair and brown eyes, they need to have at least 1 big B and 1 big R. So we're going to count all of those. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a no, 6, no, 7, 8, 9. No. I have one of these written in wrong because that should not be. Sorry, just looking for the one that's done wrong. This one here. Should be a little b. So 9. This is a no, and a no. So we have 9 that are showing brown hair and brown eyes. Brown hair and blue eyes will be big B, 2 little r's. So a big B and 2 little r's. So 1, 2, 3. Blonde hair and brown eyes will be 2 little b's and at least 1 big R. So those are all taken. These are all taken. This one, 1, 2, 3. And then any of them that are all recessive. Blonde hair being 2 little b's and blue eyes being 2 little r's. And so there's 1 left here. So it's a 9 to 3 to 3 to 1 ratio. Now again, you would only need to do the phenotype ratio on these. You don't need to do the genotype ratio when you're doing dihybrid crosses. Okay, so we have a couple other things to go through here. Multiple alleles or blood type is a codominance example. So human blood type, we have A, B, and O, and it does result in 4 different blood types. Let me go back here one. So if you are blood type A, you will, blood type actually goes on this letter I, so it's linked to this letter I. You can be this, or you can have the recessive little I. Blood type B, or you can be heterozygous, you got the little recessive. Blood type O is little I. And then blood type AB is codominant, and that is going to be represented by this only. Okay? Now in this, then there's certain blood types that can give their blood to others and some that cannot. So if you are blood type O, you can give to any other blood type. They can accept it. If you're blood type AB, you can take A or B or AB. But if you're blood type A, you can only take blood type A or O. We'll get into that a little bit more in a couple practice problems. Okay, another one, polygenic inheritance. In this one trait is determined by multiple genes. An example is skin color. And skin color has at least 3 different genes that code for the actual color that you have of your skin. Hair color is another example, and eye color is another example. And then the last one as a complication is epistasis, and this is the expression of one gene depends on another. So an example is mouse coat color. So there's big B for black coat, little b for brown coat, but then there's a big C for pigment and a little c for no pigment. So individuals with 2 little c's, even if they have a black coat skin color or fur color, if they have 2 little c's, they will still be albino. They will not show the color. So it depends on both of the traits in order for them to show one of the traits. Okay, and that's all the complications for this section that kind of give us some exceptions to the rule.